The school-to-prison pipeline. It's how too many students of color get pushed out of classrooms and into the juvenile and criminal justice system. So how did we get here? Well, there's a series of policies called zero tolerance that started during the tough-on-crime era of the 90s. It makes it easy to hand kids overly harsh punishment for minor school infractions like tardiness or horseplay.
The overwhelming reason why black students are sent to the office and in many cases ultimately excluded from school is because of offenses which are in the eye of the beholder. Things like excessive noise or insubordination or disrespect or loitering.
These subject offenses that Fancher describes are rooted in racialized bias and stereotypes. This is one of the ways that my state and my community hypercriminalize and target young black and brown bodies. And while you may think of Ann Arbor as a progressive top 10 college town, the numbers don't lie. In 2006, while black students made up less than 20% of the AAPS, 58% of those who received out-of-school suspensions were black. After a decade of new conversations and initiatives, the AAPS came out with a new progress report a few months ago. It shows a 48% decrease in overall suspensions, but black students are still disproportionately suspended, far higher than any other racial group. So how are things playing out in the set of halls that I walked through? At Skyline High, a school with a drastic socioeconomic and opportunity gap. This year especially, we've seen the problematic phenomenon of white teens sensationalizing fights between black teens. How are we part of the school-to-prison pipeline? What are we doing to challenge it? Many point to the Sky Squad as an avenue for progress. It's a unique group of 23 Skyline student mentors and leaders who facilitate restorative justice circles that aim to resolve conflicts without an adult in the room.
No other school is letting students run the circles that we run without demanding that a teacher or an adult be in there, and that's what makes it better. It makes it more authentic, because otherwise you're just doing it just to get out of suspension.
With counselor Amy McLaughlin providing extensive training and support, Sky Squad teens embrace several key principles.
We can't just throw people away. So it's our job to sit and do the hard work and say, like, you've harmed me, you've hurt me, you humiliated me in front of my friends. How are we going to exist in the school community together? And really process that instead of just facing a punitive action.
So have these efforts reduced the racial disparity in who gets suspended at my school? Since Sky Squad's only entering its third year, the data's not yet out, but the group has received praise from the district. Now, while it's valid to see troubling data and scramble for solutions, often administrators don't realize the why and the how.
There are many school administrators who lack very pertinent information with respect to the causes of these disparities and how best to address them.
The idea of a solution here is something we tend to oversimplify. It's so much more complex than simply implementing restorative practices district-wide or more cultural awareness training for teachers and staff. I challenge my fellow white students to consider the role we may be playing in perpetuating the pipeline. And to those who hold power in the school environment, I challenge you to think about how you might be funneling your own students towards the system. It's time to actually listen to and empower the voices of marginalized students in Skyline and around Ann Arbor. It's not just time for courageous conversations that don't continue. It's time for intentionally focusing on race and the discipline gap. It's time to wake up.